I will call the Government Joint Oversight and Health Human Services Committee of 11 or 8:11 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is adoption of the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Wino, to adopt the agenda. Seeing no questions, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Did Commissioner Turner vote? Next is approval of meeting minutes dated July 21st, 2026. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Support Zinner.
Motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Zinner. Seeing no questions on the meeting minutes, please vote.
Passes 11-0.
Jimmy, you make it hard chairing a meeting. Next is public participation. This is our first of two public participations. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Anyone from the public wish to be heard during public participation? Once, twice, gone. Next is item 7, or reports of Government Oversight Committee. I don't have any reports. Seeing none, we'll move to item 7. Proclamation commending James O. Sawyer, the 4th ED, upon his retirement from Macomb Community College. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Howard. Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Passes 12-0.
Thank you. It is with great pleasure I turn the gavel over to Commissioner Lucido, Health and Human Services Committee. And for the record, that was the shortest Government Oversight Committee meeting we've ever had. Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. I will open up the Health and Human Service Committee meeting. We'll start with item 9, which is presentations. And we will start with our presentation. If we can get a motion to receive and file items A and B.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Haw, supported by Howard. And we have our Martha T. Berry report. Kevin, how are you?
Above average, Madam Chair. How are you?
Good. Always a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure's mine. Well, as you recall, last month, my presentation lasted 47 seconds. You had a large agenda, and I told you that I would redeem a little bit of that time today to talk about some of the issues that we have. So, Mr. Romano, get used to disappointment on this one not being a short one.
I thought you were going to shorten it than the last one.
No, not a chance. I will get through a few things here. Our current census right now is about 96%. It still stays solid. State averages, we just received some new information. State in Southeast Michigan has increased about 3%, but we're still about 20% above the average. We have recently just taken those 2 beds offline at our facility to make room. We now have only beds available for female residents right now. We have a list for male residents coming in our building. I'm pleased to say that we're continuing to maintain our 4-star across the board. For those of you that were here in 2016 when I started, there were a lot of single digits over there. I'm pleased to say our team has done it the right way in building quality with integrity. We're also focused on our budget. As you can see, these budget numbers were at the end of July. So after 7 months, our actual expenses have not, after 7 months, even hit 50% of where we're at. That was because earlier on, our census was lower than what we had predicted, and we manage according to our census. So you see, our budget for expenses is less, but also our census is less than what we had hoped it would be as well. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about reimbursement rates. This one's going to take a little bit longer. This is a calculation of plant cost. What happens with the state of Michigan, they limit how much money we're allowed to get reimbursed on the money that we put into the building. So as you see here, our average plant cost per day is about $20.78. You can see that about the item C there. Our plant cost limit is $13.24. So that means we have roughly $7 that we don't have access to. That's due to a number of components. If you recall a few years back, I was asking the county commission and the executive team to allow us to manage the depreciation schedules, because we still have depreciation on your books and part of it on our books. And we'd like to manage all of that. And there are some very old things that are still on there that we no longer even have in there. So we're working with the new finance department now to help with some of that. And if we get that cleaned up, we can get a lot closer to that $20, which would give us, roughly about $220,000 more a year in reimbursement. That's about right, Jeff. Okay. So that's one of the ways that we can actually make up for that. But to give you an idea of, lest some people think, well, Kevin, don't you get a one-to-one for it? This is the spreadsheet, and I won't get into the details on that. But we recently, the reason we got to 1324 is because we put $2.1 million, almost $2.2 million, into a regulatorily required change in our door access control. So we put 2.1 million in that, and they gave us an additional 80 cents per resident per day. So if you extrapolate that out, that means they will repay us for just that component of it in 36 years. So you see, it's just not equitable. And that's why I've come asking you for money from time to time. And that's why I'm here today, is not just for money right now, but to talk about a better way to do this moving forward. And I would like to be at the table, even in some closed meetings or some other out of committee meetings where we can have further discussion about some of the options available for us. Because like you, this county needs a sustainable plan for all of its buildings. And I'd respectfully ask that as you look at all those buildings, you include Martha T. Berry, because it is indeed your building. And we have invested roughly $20 million into the building since I've been there. And I've run out of the ability to manage that successfully long-term. I do need help on that. So whether it means, we readjust our building use agreement or a joint operating agreement, that we change language in that so that people are comfortable moving forward in that. However that makes sense, I'd like to have some conversations on that, maybe in a work group to help as part of that larger discussion that you have. For those that are new, I'll take just a minute to talk about why Class 3s are different than Class 1 facilities. That's a designation by the state of Michigan and determines reimbursement. We have 34 medical care facilities in the state, and all of their expenses are grouped separately than the Class 1s. The Class 1s are not-for-profits and for-profits. I just attended an annual conference with Leading Age Michigan, and they continue to recommend a reduction in skilled beds because it just is untenable for them to maintain any philanthropy operations at a large scale on the skilled side. They're increasing their assisted living beds and trying to make up for that. MISHDA at the same time, as well as MDHHS, did presentations that said within 10 years, nationally, there'll be a shortage of about 660,000 skilled beds because of a couple of things happening. We talked a couple of months ago about the reductions we've had in Michigan, where we used to have about 460 nursing homes. We have 424 right now. That's continuing on. We still have some challenges. Attorney General Nessel just sued a chain that has 9 facilities, 5 of which are in our area, 2 are in our county, for what she is alleging as fraud because of the money that's taken out of the system and the challenges that some of their staff have, and this is a quote, getting their payroll checks bounced. So those are real issues that are happening right now all around us. All the more reason why the county medical care facilities are so important to maintain. Our MCF here, without question, is one of the best in the facility, in the state. I don't say it because I'm running it. I will say it because we have over 300 staff that love the residents, that we have processes in place designed to build a culture of caring that is really some of the best in the area. And we also have support of this commission in the past, several years ago, and then again last year. This was in response to us just crying that there is a need, and I'm saying that again. And this time I'd like to talk about how do we make it more long-term rather than reactive? How can we make it, like I believe Chair Sabatini is trying to do with all the buildings and all the properties, how can we make it proactive and durable? How can we make it endure? Because right now, as of today, the state of Michigan says Macomb County has 40 fewer skilled beds in the county than they're actually needed. My expectation is by the time we get to that 10 years from now, it'll be closer to 400. And this will be the facility that will take care of those most at risk, because everybody else will be going after the Medicare dollars, which is the larger dollars. Now, just to be fair, I don't believe that skilled facilities that are for-profit are evil. They just have to keep returning an investment to their investors, right? Profit's not an evil thing. But there is a difference in perspective when profit is the first motive rather than care. And for the not-for-profits, their first motive is care, but they can't afford to do it. So that's why it's so important to keep us and sustain us. So thank you in advance for what you're going to do. But more than that, over the 10 years, even with the difficult conversations, I want to thank you that you've been there for the seniors through Martha T. Berry. I'm grateful for all of your efforts in that way. I already talked a little bit about that. I got ahead of myself. There are some additional slides from the American Healthcare Association that's talking about the diminishing of care. And these are the scales that are looking at the number of persons 65 or older in the millions that will be needing care. We just don't have capacity for them. Even though we're trying to do PACE programs, which I believe is an outstanding program, it really is one of the best in terms of scalability. They still need some physical plants that they won't have. Assisted living and independent living are there. The biggest challenge there is you have to have money for them. And in some cases, in some cases a lot. You might choke on some of that where there's as much as $750,000 down payment in some of the organizations for, what they call continuing care retirement communities. That's life care centers. So we just, even with all of those different models, even though the home care, and recognize that the more home care you have, the fewer nurses you're going to have in skilled care, and the less reliable it is. Right now, home care is not as reliable as skilled care, or even as independent living with services. So just be aware that as you move forward and look at the models on how to care for the seniors that need it most in this community, and think fondly of us, because we are the most efficient at providing care and the most effective at it, especially for those that need it most. This is the other challenge that we have, and I am working with a number of organizations. We put feelers out with Microsoft. There's some local businesses in Sterling Heights that we're asking, how can you help us with our workforce being reduced? We have some ideas, but those are going to have to be fleshed out as well. Our current CMS director, Dr. Mehmet Oz, firmly believes in us moving towards more automation and providing care to help overcome the issues that we're going to have with staffing. And as you can see, we're going to have fewer and fewer people in the workforce. That also means fewer and fewer people that provide a tax base as well. And you already see the effects of that in long-term care, where several facilities, as a matter of fact, one of the slides that I shared with you, 25% of the facilities in the country were required to either close an entire building or close a wing due to workforce shortages. That will not bounce back to previous COVID levels. It just won't. Not because there isn't a desire, but there just aren't enough people to do that. And the number of services are expanding so much that, you used to have skilled facilities, basic facilities, hospitals and doctor's offices. But now you have so many insurance companies that are pulling from the workforce, as well as so many different types of care pulling from the workforce for home help, and insurance auditing, that we're just bleeding. We're bleeding in a lot of different ways. These are the numbers I shared a little while ago. We continue to get most of our admission referrals from other facilities. Just to be clear, facilities don't discharge to competition, right? We're not competition. They want us to take their Medicaid residents. They can take them, but they can't afford to keep them. And so they want to free up beds so they can get more Medicare beds in there. And then when Medicare runs out, they're asking us to pick them up, and that's what's happening. It's also why our census remains high. I shared this with you. Many of you know Sam D'Angelo. He put this together for me. He's a great guy in the community. He understands the community, and he put the numbers together. So if you're interested in how many people are impacted in your district, that's the slide for you.
Excuse me,
Yes,
would you go back one more time to that slide
sure,
and hold it for just
of course.
additional 60 seconds?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. I think we just want to look, I think all of us want to look at,
Take your time.
thank you.
I'm at your leisure.
What is that third category, MCD, community support? Can you define that?
Sure.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, Kevin.
I asked that question, then I promptly forgot it too. The MTB community support, that one. That third.
Martha T. Berry Community Support, what does that mean?
Right, so what you have is the residents' families, and then how many family members outside of that immediate family are affected by that loved one being in the building.
And he pulled that all from our data from Point-Click Care, so he knows, so it isn't just the primary care provider.
So the way I come up with the numbers on the immediate family is we have a resident family list that has to be filled out. Nobody gets up to visit the residents in the restaurant and family list. The average on that is anywhere from 10 to 25 people. Okay, so we try to break it down by immediate family, and then how many family members that live in that community now have neighbors that they're listening to. And if you go to AI, it's an average of 4.5 people to 10 people are now listening to the positive outcomes of that facility. That's how we come up with the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kev.
Of course. Permission to move on?
Please,
Thank you.
thank you.
Of course. And as always, I do like to share one of the several letters we get each month so that you can see that we are representing you well. This is your building and your facility that we have the privilege of serving you and running. And we have many, many letters just like this that come forward. And if you will allow me one more indulgence, I have the foundation chair of our and also a member of our board, Karen Bethanti, here. And if you'll allow her to just to say a few words about what we're doing, she'll be able to tell you the why behind what we do.
I'm right behind you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karen Bethanti. I've been in front of you a few times, so great to see everyone. I personally want to thank the County Executive Office Chair Sabatini for all of your work and taking a look at the resources that we need in our county to continue the services and then the work that we're doing for all departments, not just Martha T. Berry, and of course the Board of Commissioners. Thank you for your love and support of this amazing facility. I was there. I was there years ago when at some point things started to change. And at the end of what felt like an incredible roller coaster full of emotions, sometimes anger, sadness, stress, we landed with a joint operating agreement and a building use agreement. And that really is our foundation on how we go forward in supporting the men and women who call Martha T. Berry home. But I think it's really important to understand that this leadership in this organization today at the facility under Kevin and his amazing staff have really changed what Martha T. Berry is to our community. We are thriving. There's not a day that goes by I don't receive a call from a friend or family member who has a loved one in need, and they ask me about Martha T. Berry and how they can get in. At our car show, we had so many individuals ask, hey, can my mom come here? Can my dad live here? So the facility is thriving, and it's really important to think about the men and women who live there. For me, Martha T. Berry is more than just a safety net. It's a home. We have, how many are living there today?
We have 209 right now with 4 in the hospital.
Yes, 209 members of our community are living in their home. This is more than just a medical care facility. These are members of our community whose shoulders we all stood upon. These are mothers and fathers and teachers and homemakers and police officers who have landed in this facility. So we need to understand that this is their home. And what I'm asking of you is to come on by and spend some time. I know many of you have, but talk to our residents. They love to share their journey. They love to tell their story. This is more than just a medical care facility. And I believe, Kevin, it was one of your staff members who really instilled that this is someone's home. And this is where our community is living. So I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn my Apple phone off when I turn my phone off, so excuse me. So again, this is simply more than a ask for a coat of paint. It's more than going to Pottery Barn and getting a few things to make this place feel homey. What I'm asking of all of you is to put together a thoughtful, deliberate plan to sustain and maintain the facility so that for years to come, our generations and the next generations can have a place to call home. Let's continue to be the best house on the block. I'm very proud of this facility, as you can tell, and I'm hoping that you will really give consideration to how we continue to keep the building and the facility in the great shape that it deserves for the men and women who live there today. So thank you very much for all of your support and for your time to get, excuse me, for your time today. And thank you, Kevin, for just amazing leadership, and really appreciate you. Thank you.
Again, we want to be that resource for you. For those of you that have asked for our help, even when it's not a good fit, you know that we work diligently to find answers for you in the community with your constituents. We'll continue to do so. We work, I think, really, really well with Office of Services, with Sheila Cote and her group on being the clinical side of the Goldenberry Adult Day Caring Center. It is really an honor to be a part of this community. I also know that you have an incredibly difficult job trying to figure out where money goes and how it's used. I humbly ask that you allow me to be at the table to have some of those discussions when we look at creative ways to make Martha T. Berry durable for you and sustainable for years to come. Any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Chair. Kevin, one of the pressing issues, was the elevators. What's the status of that now?
Well, we did place the order. They're asking for 25% down. And, you know, my understanding is that the county's going to pay for that and keep track of that. So when first money comes in on the millage, we'll just reimburse that back to the general fund. I believe that is in that process right now. They're expecting with that down, once that money is given to the contract awardees, they will put us on the schedule to build the cabinets. And the first two, if it comes in timely, is expected to be at our facility between October and November. We have 5 that we're working on, but the first 2 we hope to get soon.
October, November this year.
This year, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Romano?
Thank you, Chair. You know, Kev, I was listening to you when you first started off, and you said we've gone from a 1-star to a 4-star from 2016. I think the only ones around at the time were probably Commissioner Kraft and myself. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't think you were sustainable. I foresaw Martha T. closing down. It just wasn't going to happen.
You're not the only one.
I'm looking forward to see that 5th star, and I think it's going to happen, Kev, under your directorship. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, thank you, Kevin. We appreciate your presentation, as always, and your report, and we love to hear the great stories that come out of Martha T. Berry, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to our second presentation.
We
which
got a
is
vote?
item-
No vote?
We already did. Well, we haven't voted yet, but we made a motion.
Vote at the, we did for both of them, so yes. Social isolation and loneliness in senior populations, and we have Mr. Matthews here to give us a quick presentation. How are you today?
Good afternoon, honorable commissioners and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Matthews. I'm a member of the Older Adults Advisory Committee of Macomb County. I'm a commissioner on the Romeo Washington Bruce Parks and Rec Commission, and I'm chairman of the Citizens Social Connection Committee. I'm here for 2 reasons, a primary and secondary. Let me start with the secondary. I think you'll find it enthusiastic. I'm here because you all appointed me here 3 years ago, you and your predecessors, to be a member of the Older Adults Advisory Committee. Additionally, you appointed me to be on the board of directors of Ageways with Commissioner Van Sickle. Let me tell you, this has been a great experience. I've met people I would never have met, learned things I would never have learned, and become very gratified by what I've learned and by what I've done in the past and what I propose right now. Now, the primary reason I'm here today is to request your support in communicating to the other 24 communities in Macomb County. When I say other, we've already done this, Romeo, Washington, Bruce. We created a committee to find solutions to social isolation and loneliness and present those solutions to our commission for action. It's my vision that we extend this program throughout all of Macomb County and make it a leader. Now, let me stop right there. This involves no money. I'll tell you what it does involve. It involves citizens helping citizens. Now, every time we see a tragedy in our country, whether it's a tornado or a flood, when you look at the images, what do you see? You see citizens standing next to citizens. These are the people that we can use. We don't need money from their pockets. Okay, so now, let me get to the mission of our Citizen Social Connection Committee. Our mission is to find solutions that we can present to our commissioners, of which I'm one, for action in our programs and the way we approach our citizens. That said, let me get to my recommendation. I recommend that each of the 24 communities of Macomb County create their own CSCC committee, together or individually, as was done by Romeo, Washington, and Bruce. This committee, as I've laid out in page 6 of my recommendations, would consist of just 3 people. 2 volunteers and 1 administrative person from those communities to give it legitimacy. Now, we found 7 people in our community, and I'm deeply impressed by them. Let me just recite who they are without names. We have a township supervisor, the director of our Parks and Rec. We have another director of our senior centers. We have a retired widowed school teacher. We have a retired physician's assistant. We have a young lady that's a caregiver and a mother of 2, and we have me, a former technical manager for a large company. We are functioning, we are producing results. In my book, I have 6 new ideas that we can do. I'm asking you to communicate to your communities. Now, I'd go to each one of them, but guess what? I'm only one person. We can do this efficiently by asking you to communicate the intent. Now, in my recommendations, you see that I agreed to generate a letter for you to use. I have that letter. Now, but maybe we don't need it. I think the best way to do it is to have a 1-hour kickoff meeting with your communities. I'll be there, I'll travel there, and we can present to them what our recommendations are. Let me use this analogy. You have a horse with a rider on it. And what's the analogy? You can bring the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But if you never bring him to water, he'll never drink. So my idea is to take the Citizens Connection Committee and bring it to the horse with the rider. And guess who the rider is? The citizen. Now, if you put all 3 of them together, hopefully something good will happen. And then we've done our jobs. You can't force people to be socially connected or non-lonely. What you can do is build the programs for them that when they arrive at your door, you know how to talk to them and show them what you have. That's what I'm proposing. Are there any questions?
No questions yet.
Okay. Now, let me leave you with the last message. Mrs. Cote can respond to this and support me. In 1974, Meals on Wheels started. 52 years. I think they deliver about 1,800 meals a day, plus or minus. What does that do? Feeds the body. My proposal is to feed the heart, the mind, the spirit, and the soul. After all, which one is more important? How often you get hungry? 2 or 3 times a day? That mind, spirit, and soul are going 24 hours a day, even when you're sleeping. My vision for the future is to create an organization similar to Meals on Wheels, only for the benefit of our citizens, socially connected. We have numerous problems in our country. Alcoholism, abuse, drugs, obesity, bullying, depression. It's about time we start on those, right? You can always go to McDonald's if you're hungry, but where do you go if you need help with your mind, your heart, and your soul and your spirit? That's what I'm asking you to do. Let's make Macomb a leader in this. And commissioners, something that we do here may help any and all of you in the future. You don't know what your social position would be. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. And I would recommend, if you have that letter, to email it to us commissioners, and then we have the opportunity to take it to our
I have a
local
little more
communities.
polish to put on it.
Perfect, yep.
But,
Whenever you're ready to finish it, we
Now,
appreciate it.
just one last thing. I got a few more minutes. Our next meeting is August the 27th of our committee. Commissioner Goike and Commissioner Zinner came there. I thank them both. I invite you to join us. At our last meeting, which is on our website, you can see it. I made arrangements through Macomb County Macomb County Community Mental Service. Tracy Smith, wonderful person, and Dr. Agnes Ward, another wonderful person. Dr. Ward came to our meeting for the express purpose of providing us an educational presentation. This was not for entertainment. She came to show us and tell us what we can do. And the commissioners came to support that. I encourage you to find that on our website. Additionally, find the PSA that I wrote and filmed with our local cable station. It's me presenting for 2.5 minutes to our community what we're doing. And I think you'll appreciate that awareness goes a long way to solve a problem, doesn't it? Now, we have 882,000 people in Macomb County. I think we can find 72 to man these committees that I've suggested. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And one last thing, I'm sorry. I want to commend the committee for what I heard at the July 23 meeting. I'm deeply touched by you all. This is what I heard, and I don't remember hearing this before. I heard the recitation of a prayer before the meeting started. Now, in our 250 years when we go back, our country was formed on freedoms: freedom of speech, right to bear arms, right to assemble, and freedom of religion. And I don't know what it says on the back of your dollar bill. I'm having a little fun with it. But mine says, "In God we trust." Thank you and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. All right. Can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
All right, now we will move on to Health and Human Service Committee Department recommendations. We'll start with item A, a position schedule amendment, community action, increase position count to 3.65 FTE head count, teacher aide, $0 to the county. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board? Motion by Howard, support by Wallace, and we have Director Scott here. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
And I seen you today, so I'm
Yes.
happy to miss you.
Thought about wearing a brighter color today, but this black is so slimming. I appreciate you all taking the time to hear us out today. What we have in front of you is an amendment to the position schedule. We are looking to bring on 5 part-time positions in the Head Start program. These positions will better position us to be able to do a better job of providing breaks, staying within ratio for purposes of licensing in the Head Start classroom, covering classrooms when a teacher or a teacher assistant has called in sick or needs to take a medical leave. If I'm doing the math correctly in my head, each of these 5 positions would be a 0.73 full-time equivalent for the total of 3.65 FTE change in the head count.
Thank you, and we do have a question by Commissioner Howard. Oh,
Before that question, I just forgot to mention, these positions are paid for. So through a combination of Head Start funding and GSRP funding. And I also just want to mention the timing of this request. So the program year for Head Start begins September 1, the funding program year. And so that's the reason why we're coming with this now in preparation for the school year rather than as part of our budget submission to begin in January.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard.
Please go ahead.
My question is going to be about the $0. So thank
Yeah.
you. This is an amazing program. My kids went through Head Start and GSRP, and that early level of education, early introduction to education, I think is a huge factor. Plus, how smart my wife is, to like how successful our kids are. So I just want to thank you. I didn't get a chance to thank you for hanging out with us last meeting and introducing those kids. So I just want to thank you for that as well publicly. And then last thing is I'd love to get an update on RX Kids and how that's going in our county in the future.
Okay. So RX Kids is not ours. That may be a WIC program.
Okay.
We can check
Okay.
into that. I do want to mention, I have my Head Start director, Linda Azar, here. She got to hear the compliments. She and her team do absolutely amazing work with the children in our communities. And just, it's a privilege to work with all of them.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chair.
Commissioner Ha.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I fully support the program. I think it's a desperate, definitive need for our community. But I have 2 questions. Was this, and the fact that you say $0 even makes it a little better. Was this included in your budget submittal for this year or last year? The headcount increase?
The one that we submitted last fall,
Yes.
honestly, I don't remember. Do you remember that? I don't believe these positions were included in that submission.
Well, I know the chairman's got the book out next to me and
Yeah.
rapidly thumbing through it, so that's why I'm asking this.
I will say, as we progressed through this past school year and saw where there were some deficiencies, where absences got the best of us sometimes, bathroom breaks, things like that, that did drive the decision to look at requesting these positions. And, after an evaluation of the available funding, we,
Okay, and this is a question I've asked everybody who's seeking additional headcount.
sure.
Are your employees full-time employed, or do they have flex time and work from home?
So these positions we're requesting would be part-time, not full-time. Our employees are full-time employees. And currently, there are a handful of staff who are able to work remotely 1 day a week.
One day a week?
Yeah, but outside of that, our employees are full-time.
Thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Goike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the wonderful job you're doing on the kids and stuff. Where's the money coming from? What department? At the state, federal level? Is it the school aid fund, or it is HARPA, or is it WIC? Where is that money coming from?
Head Start comes from the federal government. It's Department of Health and Human Services, and it funnels through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Sinner.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know how many children you're going to have in this area or not?
I don't have the exact number. I hope I'm not getting daggers stared into my back. I know our current population as of around the end of last school year was between 750 and 760. Just over 7 is what I meant to say. Thank you. Apologies.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Chair. Just for the commissioners, going to read to the Head Start kids is an option as well. So if you guys get time, make sure you do that. It's great to see how happy the kids are to have visitors and how well the teachers work with them, because you know how excited kids get when visitors do come. But every time I've been in one of the rooms, the teachers handle them so well and calm them down. And it's just a great time in the classroom with them. So I suggest you all just take a day, a few minutes and visit, read a book. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you so much for that.
So, Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the intro, Commissioner Hall. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Good.
So just to be clear here, so this is not an increase in funding. This is an adjustment because you have savings in your current budget and you're able to do this.
That is correct.
Okay. So the budget that we allocated to you for this year allowed you to find those savings within it, and you're able to do this.
Yes, we had some leaves and some other salary savings.
Okay, so you're doing it right within your personnel line item specifically. So next year, as your budget, I'm sure, I don't even know if you had your budget meeting already, but so next year, are you planning to keep the same type of personnel makeup, or are you looking to go back to how you structured this year's budget?
So we did include the extra positions in our application for funding for this coming year, and then, on in perpetuity. So we expect to continue to have the same level of staffing going into next year.
Okay. And then in order to do this, what was the change? It's probably in our docs here in the sense of what were the savings? Is it full-time, you're removing full-time and going to part-time, or is it you're just adding 5 part-time individuals?
We just had some additional funds left over in order to add the 5 part-time individuals. We had some significant savings due to a couple of medical leaves that happened over the course of this year. All of our positions, when we are preparing our budget submission, are budgeted at the maximum level.
Okay.
And many of our staff are not at that maximum step. So there's always a little bit of a cushion that we try to keep built in.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And I do recognize also the importance of this program. I think every child should have preschool available to them. I think it's very important, and I really think that it should just become state regulated all around for everybody, in my opinion. But that's all I have, so thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to thank all of you for all of your support. It's very much appreciated always.
Can we please vote?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Now we are going to move on to item B, C, D, E, and F. which is a contract with Elite Catering Company and Dining Services, a contract with JA Food Service Corporation, a contract with Trio Community Meals Food Services, a contract with Variety Food Services, and a contract with Caitlin Enterprises Pest Control Services. And can I get a motion to recommend 10B through F to full board?
Support, Howard.
Motion by Wallace, support by Howard. Hi Sheila, how are you today?
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, so I just wanted to follow up a little bit about Mr. Matthews' presentation regarding loneliness and isolation. Our office does have a friendly caller program that is pretty, we have about 250 older adults that we have volunteers reach out to weekly and have a friendly conversation with them. We have a system in place that protects that individual's privacy with regard to their phone number. So we have a portal set up and a electronic system set up so that the volunteer can call that person and have that conversation, and all of their protected phone numbers, their phone numbers are protected. So they go through a vetting process and a criminal background check as well. So it is an issue. It's a problem that leads to victimization and exploitation by predators out there. So our Elder Justice Alliance is also addressing that problem. So just wanted to update you on a resource that you may not be aware of. So with regard to the contracts, so every 3 years, we have to reapply for our Age Ways grants. That includes our nutrition grants, our chore grants. And so this year, starting in January, we started that process of reapplying. We had to put out a request for proposals for our production kitchens. And so the 3 Elite, Trio, and I'm sorry, losing track. Elite, Trio, and JD Services and Variety Food Services are all nutrition providers. They do all of our production meals for Meals on Wheels, and also our stable food boxes that we give out twice a year to all of our Meals on Wheels clients. So that's what you're looking at, are those 3 contracts that will go into effect in October 1st. The other contract is pest control, and that is for our Handy Helper program. We offer pest control services through that program for older adults throughout Macomb County.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no speakers, can we please vote? Oh,
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Hall.
I was trying to find something here. Thank you. A quick question. When you mention an application for grants, are these federal or state grants?
So they're through the Older Americans Act, so they're at the federal level, but filtered through the state. The state through Community Living Services then distribute the money to the Ageways. The Ageways then contract with us for those services.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah, there's lots of layers.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
So, first of all, I know you bid these out, which is great. In the past, have we gotten this many bidders on these contracts typically?
This year we got 4 bidders. Sometimes, I think the last cycle, we only got 3
Okay.
bids in. Unfortunately, one of our former providers, their bid was way out of line with the 3 that we chose, so we had to end our relationship with them. That was Fraser Kitchen, so.
Okay. Is that the Fraser Public Schools?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. All right, can we please vote?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to items G and H, which is a budget amendment and a purchase for Veterans Services play-by-play sports media proposal in the amount of $116,640. Can I get a motion to recommend 10G and H to full board.
Support.
I have a motion by Romano, support by Howard. And we have Laura here today. How are you?
Good afternoon.
You're not getting any money.
it-
Hi, Laura.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
Sorry, Chair, go ahead.
Okay. So last time I was here, it was during the interviews of the gazillion veterans that want to be on the board. And then you mentioned, because some of these people, some of the veterans commented that they didn't know we existed, I didn't advertise, and all of that stuff. So I did take my time to type up a few things for you all, and I re-edited it so it wasn't available to go through the routing process. So it's really it's separate from this budget amendment that is on the table in the purchase request, but this is just a follow-up of what you asked for the last time I was here, because you wanted to know what I've done. And I'm obviously not doing enough, because if somebody comes to you and say they never knew we existed and we spend too much money on payroll or what have you, they never watched a TV ad, they never done anything. So I did put this together. It is front and back, so it's just one.
Thank you, Laura.
So I became the director in 2013. So I kind of have what's available since 2013. I don't have, although the millage passed in 2008 originally, well, it went into effect 2009, I don't have that data. But in 2013, I kind of have the data because I keep my stuff. So we have some grants that came in, as you well know, because you approve it through my budget process. I get some great grants every year from MVA, Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency. And it's based on population, it's based on what the governor gives us to the veterans community and so forth. So every year it's a different amount. I don't always use it all for advertising, because for 2 years we were allowed to use it for emergency funds. So this is just a recap for your records, because Laura doesn't do anything, right? So I just want you to know that Laura has done her best to reach out. But putting this together, we found out we have not advertised on Netflix. I have not advertised on the Disney Channel, just saying. Michael Howard, right? I'm sure you're on the Disney Channel. So there's a few things we have not done. So we haven't done Twitter, which is X now, I believe, and TikTok. But those platforms are a little bit different, and they cater to a little bit, it might not be the market that I'm targeting. Right. So I'm looking into that. I've taken all of your suggestions, and I am looking into that. So that might be on the table for later. Actually, I'm in the works because I have my next MVA grant application. I got it a week ago, so I'm putting that proposal together to submit to MVAA. But in the meantime, I am here to spend a little bit of my money for advertising, because what have I done before, and what has it got me in rewards, basically? Rewards is reaching out to veterans we haven't touched. Rewards are, even if they're not my county and they want some information, I can at least plug them to the right location and give them a right phone number to call. So if they're Oakland County, Wayne County, or what have you, at least point them in the right direction. If they're not my veteran and that it's not something that, we take care of. So we have not done radio for the Lions. So I bring this proposal to you to ask for permission to purchase just package for radio, and it is including some preseason games. And although the first preseason game is Thursday, and that's your full board, it will not be part of that. It's going to be a few games later before we be able to get our radio ad in, if you approve. And then the other request is to move some money, the $116,640 from the fund balance, to move to purchase this, so we can be successful in advertising on radio. Any questions?
Commissioner Howard?
Can you, one, if anybody says you don't do anything, just give them my cell phone number and I'll argue with them for you. The grants that were appropriated for the sheet that you gave us, can you remind me, was those grants specifically for advertisement?
The purpose of the grant is to get more veterans in your office. This year, every year they come up with a criteria of what you can spend your money on. And this year, this grant I am writing currently, they're not allowing anything other than advertising, payroll, or training. So the grant is designed also for some of those counties that have more deer than people, which are the people up north that don't have a veterans office to establish a veterans office. So when this grant was established in 2018, when this program first started getting us grants, in 2018, we didn't have 83 counties with 83 veterans offices. We were probably 25 short. So it really is money to develop those areas and at least have one person, maybe a part-timer, work in those areas to reach those veterans. Over the course of the few years since 2018, I would say the majority of our money, because their purpose is to get more veterans in your office. Well, we cannot, part of the stipulation is you cannot use their money for my current payroll. I could possibly hire new people and be paid under the grant, which in 2019 I did. And after a couple years of them being grant funded, I put it in my budget to make them part of my payroll versus a grant payroll. So we did do some things, but I remember in a few of these years, I got over 500,000. So it was a lot of money. So I did spend some on advertising, but this year and last year, I was allowed to put some money set aside for homelessness. Because Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency does have money, I think it's about $2 million, set aside for veteran homelessness. And nonprofits were allowed to apply for a piece of the pie, whether they get 25,000, 30,000, or what have you. But government agencies were not allowed, and it had to be a nonprofit. And there is no nonprofit in Macomb County that has homeless money out of their pot of money. Now, we have SSVF money, which is federal dollars, that they just left, that Macomb Community Action has, because they're a sub-grantee from OLSA, and OLSA is the one that got the money covering Macomb County. So there's ways we kind of get a little bit of homeless money, but it's nearly not enough. When I say not enough, it is not enough. So because of them not giving us homeless money or having access to homeless money, we do have our emergency grants, which is trust fund, which is Lansing's pot of money that we operate at our local level, and then our relief fund, which comes out of my budget. But there's a lot of criteria and guidelines, and those folks needing hotel stays and those folks needing security deposits or storage units, the process of getting these grants approved and paid is 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll get a call saying, hey, my storage goes up for auction at 10 o'clock. So we need, discretion, as we say, discretionary funds where I can make that command decision saying, okay, I got your 214, I got your Macomb County resident, and you can get me the rest, but I'll pay this. So it stops the auction of all their valuables while they're homeless. So it's those kind of things. Now, we've used some of our grant money last year and this year for this homeless program. Next year, they're not allowing it. No money can go to the veteran. We can't do an outreach, we can't do an event, any money cannot be spent on a veteran. So now we have to rethink, and next year, it's gonna be all advertising. But it's only 200,000 next year. When I say only, remember I had 500 at one time. So every year it's a different amount based on your population. So,
Commissioner Howard, do you still have more questions?
Yeah, this money, is coming, this 116 is coming out of your fund balance.
It is.
Forgive me, I left my budget book at home. What's the fund balance of the veterans right now?
Well, great question. When I actually did my budget for this year and submitted it to finance, on the bottom of the piece of paper, it said I had like 1.5. Okay. At the bottom of the piece of paper on my budget package. When I actually had my budget meeting, he says, well, you got 2.7 million. And I'm like, I had no idea. Until about a month ago. About a month ago, I was shocked. I sat there and go, why can't I have access to that in Workday? Why can't I be able to check my fund balance? Why can't I have that available. And it wasn't until I go to my budget meeting when I found out I had 2.7 million. Now, that's what we levy. So next year, based on the budget and the millage, because our millage is under renewal, that's what the millage would bring in next year is 2.7 million. But he gave me all these options saying, you could do this, 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 and this. Well, at one time, about 5 years ago, I was told my building is going to be renovated. And that was about 5 years ago. And my building still isn't renovated, and I could set aside some of my fund balance to help with the renovation costs of my space. So that was on the table about 5 years ago when I spoke with the exec's office. Now, I can't use all of my fund balance because I have too many variable items in my operating expenses that vary, and that's a bunch of stuff. Payroll is not, I would say payroll's set in stone, right? I know how much everybody makes, I know how much the pay raise is gonna be, and that's pretty much set in stone based on how many positions I have. But burial allowance is very variable. The other thing is our relief fund is variable. They can spend over, they can spend under. We have some contracts with doctors, and it's all based on referrals. And a few years ago, we spent too much, and it was in December when we realized it, because they were billing us quarterly, now they bill us monthly, and now we have a great handle on how much we're referring to for this doctor. But other than that, this is where I'm at. I do have some projects for next year, and one of them is increasing our burial allowance again, because the least expensive cremation services is around $800, $900 for that, and that's not including probably your death certificates, your urn, because everybody picks out their own urn. But you figure just the crematorium services and those fees are around probably $900. And a few years ago, I brought to you so we can request to increase our burial allowance, and we did. We raised it from 300 to 500, and at that time, a cremation was around 600, 6 to 700, 699, something like that, and now it's increased. So my goal is to be able to offer more money for the burial allowance. That will take up some of the budget. But at the same time, I only have about 12% of veterans and spouses of veterans who pass away that qualify based on income, because it is a state law for it to be asset. There's an asset limit. Although we increased our asset limit, there's still an asset limit. So I have projects in plan, but obviously I don't want to do anything until November, until we know our millage passed. Because if our millage doesn't pass, then we have about a year to survive until it goes on the ballot again.
Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you. Laura, with the sports, how many sports will you be putting this money toward? Is it for football, or is it going through baseball, football? How many sports?
I'm sorry. It's Detroit Lions radio. It's
Oh,
97.1
okay, the
the
radio you're
ticket,
talking
and it's
about?
just for the Detroit Lions games.
Okay.
So it is, this was part of a bigger package.
Yeah.
And I had other things in it, and then the exec's office asked me to scale it down, so they agreed on this. And so this is what is coming before you for approval, is just the radio spots. Before I had other things, like I was looking at, was it Red Wings? Because we never advertised with Red Wings, but they suggested that I scale it down, so I did.
If you're able, with the money you just found out about, will you be able to use some of that for housing
No.
veterans in the winter or even in the summer? I mean, we're past summer now just about, but will you be able to use any of that for that?
So the state grant, the MVA grant, which funded a lot of this, it is fiscal year, so it ends 30 September. So I do have funds right now until 30 September to do some of those hotel stays and those emergent needs to prevent homelessness or to rapidly rehouse homeless. We don't provide, it's never been our plan, because we don't have a big budget. $50,000 is not a lot, by the way. And we never had a plan just to pay for someone's hotel, why they look for a place or why they look for a job, they have to have secured income, secured a job, secured a place, an apartment, and they only need X amount of days left. And usually when we pay the hotel, it's in conjunction with Macomb Community Actions SSVF, or it's with conjunction with the VA hospital downtown, because the VA hospital has homeless money.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Laura, I just want to get this straight in my head. You're looking for $165,000, and you're coming to us to say, listen, you have that, but you need us to give you the approval to spend it on media. Does that sound, am I close?
No, this request is for 116,000.
I'm sorry, 116, okay, excuse me.
Okay, sorry, it's 116,000. And yes, I have it in my fund balance, but you have to approve A, spending more than 35,000, B, you have to approve moving it from my fund balance because it was not in my operating expenses from the budget process last year.
You know, let me add to that. You know, you could have all the money you have, you could have 10 times that amount, and it doesn't do any good unless the veterans know what kind of services are available to them. And the only way they're going to know that their services are available to them is through the media, as you're doing right now. I think it's a great idea where you've picked to put this money or allocate this money to. So you have my vote. I think it's a great idea. That's all I have. Thanks, Chair.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Laura. So I looked at what you had handed out here. First of all, when you're talking about your budget, you've got actually two budgets. You've got your normal operating budget and you got your grant budget. They're two separate items in your budget. So when we talk grants, they're not in your normal budget. They're in that.
They're not my operating expenses.
Correct. Correct. So in the past, all of the grant-funded advertising that you've brought to the board, I've supported because it's come from a third party, whether it's the Fed, whether it's the state, wherever it's coming from, in the tune of over $2 million since 2020. That's a lot of money.
It is.
But that's from third party, so I've always supported it. Now what you're asking is to take it out of your local millage dollars that you've accumulated to spend it. I'm going to say locally, but outside of Macomb County. Let's just put it that way. So I did support, I know back in 25, you did bring us the Lions and Tigers advertising for 168. And this year, the Tigers and the Lions streaming only for 133. And I believe those were taken out of your operating budget.
It was.
Okay, so I did support that. So that's to the tune of about, I don't know, almost $300,000 in advertising that we spent. I know you've accumulated some money here, which is good. I mean, you're using the money effectively. I think, and just to kind of follow up with Commissioner Romano had said here, he's correct. I mean, we have to spend money to get the word out so veterans know what the services are available to them. I think we've done that in the last 6 years in the tune of $2+ million. I mean,
I agree.
So I can't say that we haven't done our part in supporting that cause. I think what I'm getting at now is that, you know, as we've done all these things, whether it's TV, whether it's print, whether it's billboards, whether it's gas station TV, whether it's social media, whether it's direct mail, whether it's, you've done everything.
Except Disney.
Okay, except Disney.
Except Disney.
But for someone that's bought advertising in the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars in my career, okay, the number one thing that is asked to me is, what is your call to action? And what are you looking to get specifically in your return on your investment? So I know when you were starting to talk about, this is what we want to get from this, and this, and you're saying we want to get the word out not only to Macomb County, but to other counties and to our neighbors, which it's going to happen.
Well, radio it will.
It will, because everything that you've
Streaming,
done.
it does not. Streaming does not. Streaming can target just Macomb County.
Correct. But the vast majority of the $2 million plus that you've spent is not just targeting Macomb County. It's a bigger area.
I would say I would definitely say I was amazed when I looked at this last proposal where advertising on TVs are spots. Regular terrestrial TV. Streaming, you're buying impressions. And then advertising radio. Well, you've done advertising, so you understand all this. I did not know that when I streamed, because we did streaming for Lions last year, we did streaming for the Tigers. I did not know that when I buy 50,000 impressions and 55,000 people in Macomb County are watching it, it will not go to that other 5,000. It doesn't go to everybody. They have the ability just for how many TVs are turned on and how many. And then I also found out that if you got 3 TVs in your house, that's 3 impressions. It's not one household, it's 3 TVs on. So I've learned a lot. I'm here to tell you I've learned a lot because I want to target Macomb. When you advertise, and I've done AM radio before, and when you've done AM radio, obviously that's a big, huge population because they can't just target on a radio, just me. And radio is a little bit different, but I have found out on YouTube, it's targeting just our area. When I did Comcast, it is just our area. And it's amazing that they can target just our Macomb area. So when I say that, we've got a fine line of boundaries, and our boundaries of Macomb County aren't exactly the same boundaries that all these different media sources use, but it's close.
Obviously this board just passed millage language that's going on the ballot here in November, which I believe is going to pass. So it's just my piece. But when we put these millages on the ballot for our residents, Macomb County residents, the intention is the money's going to be used in Macomb County for the 40,000 veterans that are in Macomb County. So, my opinion with what you're trying to do here, the call to action is, I think you need to look at the big picture in the sense of we spent $2+ million on advertising. And we get your quarterly reports as far as where your numbers are going in year over year, so we can kind of see what's happening. And obviously you're buying impressions, so when you buy bigger, packages, I'm going to sell you 1 million impressions or 5 million impressions. It sounds great, but the price is associated with those impressions. And then what is an impression, right?
Exactly.
My thought is I'd rather look at a long-term or a better strategic advertising plan for you rather than just, we need 100,000 here for this plan and we need 100,000 here, where we put together basically an advertising plan for the actual millage itself so that okay, in the next 5 years or through that millage proposal language, what you're going to be allocating your budget on in advertising specifically to those Macomb County veterans. That would be my approach to this personally, rather than just buying big ticket advertising out there. So my opinion of this matter, as far as how I look at it today, I'd rather postpone this a month and have a meeting and talk a little bit more higher level with you. And
Well, if we
commissioners that
postpone
would
it-
like to be part of this work group, that you're more than welcome to. But I'd like to see a better plan put in place with a stronger call to action. That's just my opinion.
Okay, so just letting you know, because I had a bigger package I brought to the exec's office and to get routed, and they said, nope, scale it down. And if this is not approved this Thursday under the full board, then it's scrapped, because then those slots go to somebody else.
Okay.
Because obviously the pregame season starts Thursday, and although they're holding a spot, I said I can't commit until full board, they're holding that spot, right? Then it's done. So if you vote no, it's done. There is no coming back next month because it's too late, because that's how the Lions work.
So so let me just circle back here. You found out you had excess funds through your budget process, and that's why you've put together, or that request to the executive, and they brought it down to this level to now bring it to us. But we've got a deadline in front of us that we have to make a decision with really no, I want to say, long-term plan on your advertising needs going forward.
When you say in a long-term plan with my advertising needs, so since 2021, I partnered with Martin Media. Okay, so now I went out for bid last year She was the lowest bidder, so I got to keep Martin Media. I can extend her contract for a few years without going out for bid again. So with this, we take, and it's always been, up until last year, it's always been just the MVA grant and whatever. And remember, I had the IRS grant and we advertised with that. So I was like, okay, because the IRS says, do this. I'm like, all right. So I spent a very small, tiny bit, like $5,000 with advertising with the IRS grants to get the word out. So we've sat down with her many of times to say, what's our call to action? What has worked? What has not worked? Where do we see our biggest numbers coming in as far as clientele? Because it comes down to it, I can advertise. You can call my office, or you could call me and say, hey, I just found a veteran, right? And this has happened before where I've just found a veteran and he needs your assistance, and then we take it from there. That person might not need a service-connected disability claim. That person might need our emergency relief fund. You know, it all just depends. That person might be homeless and needs shelter, which shelter is paid for the most part by the VA hospital under their program. So it's really coming to action. So for a lot of these years, I've done all of this. Right now, I just met with her today again, because I have the grant application for fiscal year 27, and it's due like next week. So we sat down, came up with a plan, and I said, the biggest thing is, do you target the 80-year-olds? Do you target the 70-year-olds? Do you target the 50-year-olds? Or are you trying to target the 30-year-olds, the 30 to 40? So I spent 5 years targeting, I would say 50 to 80, 50 to 90, population.
I get what you're saying with the
Yeah.
grant stuff. The grant stuff is something different, though. The grant have the requirements. You have to apply specifically related to those grants, and you have to spend the money specific to those grants.
Correct.
This is Macomb County taxpayer dollars that are put into this fund. I think the anticipation of the taxpayers, they want it used in Macomb County. So I think that's where my dilemma is here in what we've already spent. And that's why I don't want to vote against this, but I would rather work with you with a better plan going forward to think how we could use this in a different manner, specifically in Macomb County. So there's other speakers, so I'll just defer, Chair, so other commissioners can ask them questions.
Yeah, and really quick though, I mean, I'm gonna support this, definitely. I think the only way we can advertise on radio is we're gonna end up, people outside of Macomb County are gonna hear it. So I think that's really only our option if we wanna choose radio, and I know a lot of people that actually listen to the games on the radio. Commissioner Howard on round 2.
Yeah, thank you. I totally hear what our chair is saying, and the reason why I asked earlier is like, with those grants, like if we can only use them for advertisement, it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean, I think that if they would stop handcuffing you so you could use them for other things, that would be great. But like, that's literally the only thing you could use it for. And so there's never been an issue. Whereas like these dollars could be used for services versus advertisement. These dollars could be used for homeless care, increase in the barrel allotment, and other things. So that's where my struggle is, because with the veterans that are already coming, if the question is like, hey, we need next year, we're going to have to increase our barrel allotment because things are getting more expensive, then could this $116,000 just be used to meet the service needs that we have already as we prepare for next year versus soliciting more people where we're casting a wide net? And so you can cast this net, we're going to get folks from the Tri-County area, but we can only service a few of them. And so it's like, it's not really capitalizing on the efficiency of those advertisement dollars, because I remember, I can't remember what month it was, but I believe it was Commissioner Goyke who asked for like not necessarily a chart, but like, hey, we're spending this money on advertisement. Like, how many new veterans are we seeing when you run this ad? Or how did this person hear about? And so that's something that I would love to see.
We're tracking that.
Yeah. So like for us, I'm just being honest, for me to say like, I'm great with passing, $116,000 without seeing that is just really difficult, because I'm like, I trust that our advertising is working because I think you've done a fabulous job. Like, I'm not saying that at all, but this is coming out of our fund balance now, or your fund balance, not grant dollars. So I mean, I'm less careful on how we spend, not careful, it's not the right word, but cautious on how we spend those grant dollars because that's all we can use this for. Whereas this we can use for a myriad of other things. And so like, and you know, I've supported everything you've brought to us because I think you just do an amazing job. I'm kind of with the chair on hearing like what he's saying, talking about postponing this to put together a long-term like vision or long-term strategy on this, not just with advertisement, but some of our services. Because, and I don't think it's really, some of it is just on you specifically. Like, what are local communities doing? Like, how, I'll just speak about Warren. What is Warren and Centerline doing to help advertise and promote Macomb County veterans? Those are conversations that should be held because we have a public access channel, and our, which they run a lot of stuff for free and or at cost. And so like, how could we use the public access channels that we already have that we know for a fact only go to Warren residents that, or to those geographic residents? Like, how could we use those channels as well? I'd love to see something long term before we start spending dollars that are not specifically appropriated for advertisement, because this could go towards getting a veteran who's about to be homeless not homeless, and understanding that those other grants don't allow that.
Well, just one thing on the homeless money. So we have a conversation right this moment with our committee, our Veterans Commission, our Veterans Committee. And we brought it up last week that this grant, we're losing this money. They have a statute of what they will approve, what they don't approve. Like they don't pay for cars. They don't pay for property taxes. They have a whole list of things they won't touch. And so now what we're doing is we're bringing to the table some options to possibly change their bylaws, their, you know, what they approve, what they don't approve, and consider some other things. But I have a whole month to get together to figure out, okay, so if we lose this funding, how much funding comes from the VA hospital on homelessness? You know, I've got to do my due diligence to present to the board, my board, what are the other funding locations or what other funding sources could possibly pay for these. Basically, there's like 7 things that we put in our grant last year, which is this year, to pay for. And one of them was hotels, one of them was storage units, and I think it was property taxes that are in foreclosure. So to stop a foreclosure.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I understand. If this was $116,000 to pay, you know, to make sure a veteran wasn't homeless, I'd be the first person to jump up and raise my hand to vote yes. For advertisement, I just think I really struggle with that because those funds could be appropriated for something else. But
Okay.
there's other speakers, so I will
Okay.
defer back to the chair.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'll make this quick. I do think that there needs to be, you know, just from what people said when they came, more marketing, advertising of some sort. But I do wholeheartedly agree with Chair Sabatini I know we would miss this one, but I think there are so many other ways to reach our veterans, including like working with local libraries, hospitals, things like that, and maybe have, you know, fill our small mental health, our small card, and put information like that, maybe a QR code that will send them directly to you.
I
Or-
have those.
Okay, so if we have, even if we as commissioners can get like a stack where we take to our local libraries and maybe just educate whoever has those, like this is what you can say if people have questions, if they're dropped off somewhere. But I do agree with Chair Sabatini, if we can like just sit down and talk about some other ways to reach the veterans, I think that there are just so many more options for you. And I know that you're keeping track of how your
I'm keeping
advertising.
track of new. I'm keeping track of the new customers, yes.
Yeah, I know you're keeping track of how this your current advertisement is going, and maybe looking a deeper look into that as well to see if it's really reaching what you're trying to do, and where the conflict or disconnection is between those people that were talking when they came and what you're doing right now, because it may be simpler than we think. So that is my opinion.
I do have cards, by the way.
Yes.
They're help cards, veteran help cards. We made them well over 10 years ago, probably
Okay.
12 years ago.
Okay. Well,
And
we
we have
can.
them on our outreach. We do outreaches, which if you see at the very end, on the end of page 2, is the total of how many outreaches we do.
Yep. So even if we look at those cards, maybe there's something that we can add or change since you did them 12 years ago, just thinking outside of the box of what you're already doing without tweaking too much. But I think there's something that may be being missed, but I don't think you're so far off, from what people were saying. I think there just some people are not paying attention. But I would love to have like a sit down and discuss more on that. So I'll let the next speaker go. Thank you.
Commissioner Kraft?
Thank you, Chair. You alluded to this earlier, Laura. There's an election coming up. Elections are, by their nature, uncertain. Chair Sabatini said it, pretty sure there's probably not going to be an issue, but you never know, right? And I would rather see this $116,000 back in your budget and wait to see the results in November than to spend it on more advertising, which you're already doing Lions advertising in the plan currently. I know it's a different medium, I understand that, but it would be my suggestion to hold out and wait just to get through November and see how everything shakes out. Because like I said, you may need that 116,000. I don't think you will, but you may. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Goike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to support this because there's knowing a lot about the media as well, and the veterans is going to pass. And the biggest problem we have to think is about the veterans, and what the real issue is. There's a lot of pride, and the people don't want to reach out. And by doing this positive targeting, that's why she's paying for this outfit, to help, to hit the right spots so that we get good positive feed to these veterans so that they can utilize the services. And that's what it's about, is for the veterans utilizing the services. And in that target area, radio is cheap for the bang for the buck right now. It's a lot cheaper media, and it can reach out to a lot more. And we have to get to the family members to know that family member that needs the help can reach out to get the help. And that's, I believe, still to this day, that is our biggest problem with our veterans, is their pride, not wanting the help and not knowing what services that are available. And I think we have to, put as much money as possible that still gets the other care done, but reaching out to get to those that truly need it. So I think it's a good thing to do. Thank you.
Commissioner Wano?
Thank you. So I'm gonna go back on. Oh, thank you. My question was going to be regarding the tracking, and I heard you say a few times you're tracking when a veteran does outreach to you, how they heard about the veteran services. I guess how specific are you getting with the tracking?
New client or not new client?
Well,
New client or not new client?
I meant with tracking how they heard about you through the advertising.
That's a great question, because I've asked all 15 of my staff when they see their customers to let me know if they heard it from our advertising. The hardest thing is a lot of our clients are emailing. It's not 100% of our clientele doesn't come in face to face where you have that conversation. And a lot of it's doing phone tags. So I will say my 15 staff members, which includes me, it is the hardest thing to track. It's trying to train their brain to ask every single customer. Now,
Well, then that's actually more concerning, I think, because, I guess
we
I
get
thought when
100
you said
calls a
we're
day.
tracking how they are learning of us through then the advertising, that's not really the case, because we're not always asking the question, or when we do ask the question, we're not documenting, did you hear about us on TV? Did you hear about us through the Smart Bus billboard, the Lions game? We're not getting that information at all. It's hard to know, what the best use then of those advertising dollars are, because, you might want to spend more of your dollars with one advertising where we're getting, more hits and more activity than another, but if we're not tracking it, then we really don't
We're
know.
trying. That's all I can say is we're trying. So we have a track sheet. We always have, we've definitely had this even since before COVID, where we have a daily track sheet of who comes in. Because when someone calls and said, they never returned my call. Oh, when were you in the office? I can go back to that tracking sheet. I can go back to see when they were in the office. Because, just like one of our customers that was here 3 weeks ago saying they never called me back or they told me to go online. Not one of I went back and I checked every single customer, every single employee. Not one of my employees would say go online. I mean, yes, there is 2 things you have to do online, but for the most part, we don't tell people, oh, you're just asking about your benefits, go online. No, we want them to come in because people don't interpret it what they read online is. And most of our senior population, I wouldn't say most, but some are not online.
But they don't have to come in person to understand their benefits, do they?
Depends on their questions. If it deals with service-connected disability, we need a signature, we need to do an intent, and we need to start the application process. I need a wet signature for that. I can't sign their name.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Well, Laura, there's no doubt that you've done a magnificent job in trying to reach out to as many Macomb County residents as possible. I want to go to Commissioner Goike's statement about it. If it's a pride issue, advertising's not going to fix that. I don't care if you light it up in their house. That's not going to deal with the issue. We recall, and I raised the issue, it wasn't complaints when we did the Veterans Committee interviews. The vast majority of the 33 applicants made the statement, we don't know what we don't know. And that's always it. I don't care if it's you or us or politics or whatever. It's always the issue of we don't know what we don't know. People ask the question, what does it take to win an election? If somebody could answer that, they'd put it in a little book and become trillionaires. It's the same thing with how to get to what is the proper forum and what works to get to our veterans. And I agree with Commissioner Bueno that tracking you're doing, if I knew there was value added in radio commercial advertising, I'd take it. But if I'm driving in my car and I hear something on my radio, I'm not pulling over and writing it down. I like the idea of isolating the message to the local municipalities through the local municipalities networking. We've got our own Roseville-Fraser station. We've got our own Roseville-Fraser Chamber of Commerce. Why don't we have our own? There's nobody better to put a message together than you. Put it on the local cable networks and see if you get a better reaction. The banks are now using a technique when you go in that says, how did you hear about us? Yeah, well, I repost every veterans thing that you put on social media. I'm sure the rest of us does that equally as well. So the question is it value added? Is this money well spent versus some, as Commissioner Howard says, some other needs that pop up? And I know we all think the veterans millage is going to pass. In this day and age, anybody read the paper in the last election?
Yes.
How many police and fire millages
Yes.
went down?
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know.
And it's a renewal, not an increase, but that still doesn't guarantee anything.
Correct. The need's there, the awareness is there. We all want to see it pass. I could not believe how many police and fire millages went down
I was
this
shocked.
last election.
I was shocked.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I'm going to call the question. I think every commissioner spoke who's going to quest. I'm going to call the question.
Call a vote.
For a vote.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Can we
clarify what we're voting on?
We're voting on this budget amendment for Veteran Service Fund, play-by-play sports media proposal in the amount of $116,640. Plus, we are also voting on the purchase itself. So the purchase and the budget amendment. We're voting on both items right now.
So it's move the money and be authorized to purchase since
So
it's over
both
the
items
30,000.
on our agenda, which is items G and H, we're voting on.
It's unclear whether chair had made a motion to postpone or not, so I was just trying
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
ask if I could do right now. If I could make a motion to postpone this.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason to, I don't think so.
What does the chair say?
She said that it has to be decided by Thursday.
Well,
There'll be
yeah, if you
more-
postpone it, this is off the table.
This,
So that
we
means you
we
just
gotta stay
deny
off the
it.
table and she can come up with a new proposal after we have that meeting.
Correct.
So we can just
But-
vote no on this now. Why?
Point of order, a
Yes.
motion to table is accepted at any point during discussion.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to postpone this to the September 15th meeting.
Support.
Can we please vote?
So it's going to be on the September
Yes. On the September-
agenda.
Yes.
And what would you like me to bring back in September? That's my question. Well, this one's off the table, so I won't have anything to bring. If that makes sense. So, okay, well, we'll have a meeting.
Yes.
We'll have a meeting. I'll meet with my Veterans Committee. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I will open up public participation. This is an opportunity from anyone to public to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Seeing none, we will move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you. Listen, I just want to congratulate Commissioner Grott, Commissioner Goyke, and actually, I think we should all congratulate Commissioner Howard,
Yeah.
because we got him now for another 2 years. Their loss is our gain. So shame on them, but we got them. So I'm glad that, I'm not glad that you lost, but I'm glad that we still have you. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Joe, for doing that. We all know what elections do. I've talked to Michael. You don't want to go through those types of elections, but most of us have been through them and experienced it. I also wanted to announce that tonight, our Roseville Police Chief will be retiring officially. So I will be presenting a resolution on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments?
Support.
Jesus.
I have something to say.
On motion to adjourn?
I was just asking you guys if you had anything else, because my computer wasn't showing it up.
You may speak.
Jeez.
And blame her, she did it.
Also, would like to thank all of the directors that came out here today to speak, but especially, I just want to make a point that we have a lot of discussions at this table, and I really do appreciate everyone like voicing their opinions and things like that. I think that we have such a great cohesive group, and that I am very excited that we are going to be able to keep Commissioner Howard around a little bit longer to be part of those conversations. So, thank you.
So you're happy to get rid of Sylvia?
Yeah, I am. I was devastated to get rid of Sylvia, but I was excited that she won.
And unfortunately,
One thing one issue whenever it comes to elections is we never know who we're gonna get. So I'm happy that we have a good
We
group
got
right
Ken.
now. We got stuck with Ken for 2 more years too,
Got
yes.
bottom of the barrel there.
motion to adjourn.
That's because you're from a farm.
All right. I'll take a motion. Please vote.